podcast where we put you on the map. This is Ron Costa broadcasting live in the Mappable USA studios here in Las Vegas, Nevada. And today, folks, we're going to talk about some investment strategies that maybe fly under the radar for a lot of people, but can be very, very profitable if it's done correctly. And this type of thing will work in all forms of market, from the luxuries all the way down to the opportunity zones. So speaking of opportunity zones, let's bring in Vicky Hutchmala from the QOZ Marketplace and the Opportunity Zones Authority. Vicky, how are you today?
I'm excellent today, Ron. Perfect day in Vegas, although it's starting to get into the 100 degrees, which is never a good thing for us. But today we have a guest on our podcast that's going to talk about something different, something easy to get into, and something that people overlook. So looking forward to it.
Yep, let's waste no more time. Let's bring in Ajay Dayal from the Quantified Investment Group. Ajay, how are you today?
Good. Thank you for getting me on your podcast. How's everybody doing? Everybody's safe and their families are safe?
Yeah, so far
great.
So good. We're weathering the storm here in coronavirus and in wonderful Las Vegas. And like Vicky said, it's getting hot here. We're going to be using the air conditioner a lot these days, I'm afraid. So.
Good thing we're used to it, because it's a dry heat.
Yeah. But you know, AJ, at the top of the show, we talked about some investment strategies that we're going to go through today, and I can't think of a better person to have on the show to talk about some of these things, because you've been involved in Las Vegas, real estate in Las Vegas in general for quite some time. Isn't that right?
Yes, for a long time now.
Yeah. So tell us about how you started in the business and how you developed the whole Quantified Investment Group, which, by the way, I am a part of. I love having my license hung at that place. You guys just do an incredible job, and the resources that you provide are outstanding. So tell us a little bit about your background.
Thank you, Ron, for saying all the kind words about the Quantified Investment Group. And, I have an elaborate marketing background, and somehow along the way, I've worked for the billion-dollar corporations on both sides of the world, and I was doing the marketing and sales and got involved into the live pay-per-view back in the day before Netflix and Hulu, and had a spot on the satellite downlink in Atlanta, Georgia, and data center in San Francisco, and hundreds of terabits of bandwidth before the HD streaming and everything else. And I could show an event from anywhere on the planet, and people can pay with any currency and get it converted. So through that, I got into the alternate fuels, biofuels, and we had a $110 million very large project. And through that, I got involved into the regular fossil fuel, crude oil-based oil industry. And one of my friends, Kent, brought in a buyer for the Fontainebleau property, the hedge fund chairman from Europe. And we were looking at putting an offer for about $1.2 billion at that time. And somebody, they didn't want to sell it at that time. So they said, it's going to take you about 1.8. We were dealing directly with Mr. Carl Icahn at that time. And he said, it's going to take you 1.8 billion, and I don't want to sell it before 2015 anyways. Yeah. So that got me going, and I said, you know what? The alternate fuel industry, it's harder to raise 110 million. And now we're talking about a $1.2 billion offer. And so I changed some gears, and we got into the real estate at that time, and we were very blessed ever since to be here where we are right now. So that's how I got into the real estate end of the industry in a very short little background to it.
Well, back then, I remember the high-rise frenzy in Las Vegas was crazy. Those things were going up for easily. There were so many projects, and I guess there were also a lot of defaults on that too. But you got in and out of there at the right time, and now you're involved in a whole bunch of different investments too. You're doing multifamily, you're doing all kinds of things like that as well, right?
Yeah. So talking about the high rise, we had about 104 projects at one point of time.
Wow.
100 high-rise projects at one time. And we had, on the table, proposed, being financed, being funded, and I'm talking about Las Vegas in general. And a lot of projects, didn't take off, fell apart, and, so many different things. And we have been blessed that through the sale of a penthouse in Mandarin Oriental on the Strip with the Las Vegas Boulevard, we were able to push the highest dollar per square feet for $1,190 per square feet. Then we pushed it dollars per square feet with somebody that was actually part of our company with us over here in Quantified Investment Group. So we have done that. And so that's talking about the high rise. And to answer the second part of your question, we have been involved with, and we are involved with the multifamily, the shopping centers, retail centers, the office buildings, the houses as a packages, motel deals, group homes, any kind of medical type of facilities like assisted living facilities, medical memory care facilities, and things of that nature. So we are involved in so many different type of projects, and also including in financing and funding and the mortgage bank and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, what I like about it too is it's almost like a one-stop shop where you can go there for the real estate opportunities. You can go in there for the administrative type of things and the operators and the property management and the funding as well. You have everything under the same umbrella basically. So people who come to you don't really need any other resource basically. You can take care of everything from A to Z, it sounds like.
One-stop shop, unique boutique, all are very beautiful, fancy words, and thank you for using them. However, the disclaimer is that we are very, very compliance conscious. We are very, very regulation conscious. We are very, very legality conscious. So everything is very, very set apart with very safe distance and all the disclosures and disclaimers in place.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that now because we're looking at this whole coronavirus and the social distancing and how it's affected the marketplace. How have you seen this whole new trend with coronavirus and all the things that you have to do? How is that affecting the market? Do you see it, slowing down, or do you see the light at the end of the tunnel? What's your take on the whole real estate marketplace? If an investor came to you and said, "AJ, what should I do?" What would you tell them?
Well, I would tell them that, light at the end of the tunnel, if you're not careful, can also be an oncoming train.
Yes, for sure.
Always have your ears to the rail and feel the vibration, what is to come. Anybody else's disaster or a calamity or something can be a gain to the other party. You got to shift gears beforehand and get into the winning side of the team. And a lot of different things that are going on right now, as a lot of people that are dealing with us, working with us, know that we are going virtual, we are going online, we are following all the CDC guidelines, the governor's guidelines, and the different types of rules and regulations that have been put into place to keep everybody safe. But the show must go on. And we have to keep moving on with innovative, creative ideas. So we are going more on the social networking. We are going more on the virtual systems. We are going more on online network and marketing, social media. We're tapping into different types of resources and creating opportunities, not only just for ourselves, but also for our clients, but also our industry associates, educating them, training them, taking them to the newer horizons and better places that they need to be at now or make preparations to be at in some time to come to be very, very successful, and also take the lead and lead the industry and lead the community and lead our society and our state to better place.
You know, sometimes the really successful people are those folks that recognize opportunities even in crises or catastrophe and can think on their feet and learn how to adapt to that and turn it into a positive for everybody involved. And that appears to be something that you're trying to focus on.
In one word, Vicki, what you just said, that all of that defines in one word, and that word is leadership.
There you go.
Yes. Yeah, and Vicki, you wouldn't know this, but we've been on these conference calls with the office for a while, and AJ, you're basically you could be like a Hollywood actor. You're there. You come across so well on the screen and the way you speak. That's why I do a podcast and he does video.
So we're talking to a superstar. Is that what you're saying, Ron?
That's right. Exactly.
I always say that I have face for radio. So let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
So does Ron and I.
Well, okay, we're going down the wrong path here.
Okay, let's change.
Let's get back to the investment aspect of what we want to talk about today. Now, AJ, there's a concept out there. You mentioned it earlier in the podcast about group homes. I know multifamily is very big right now, and the whole concept of group homes is similar to the multifamily concept, I think, but it takes it to another level. And I'm wondering if people out there even know what that actually is. Can you explain that whole group homes concept to our audience?
Yes. So first of all, let me just put out a disclaimer out there. I'm not an expert on the group homes from a perspective of an administrator or compliance, and I can only talk about group homes from the perspective of what the functionality is, what does it mean in terms of business and real estate, and how does the revenue can flow in and out of the group home, what kind of expenses that you can look at and all that type of stuff. So let me start by saying group home is actually a single family home that is converted, retrofitted, and licensed to house elderly citizens to live in there with the care that they need in that moment in time, with all the rules and regulations and compliance that is in place, administered by a state licensee administrator. So that's what a group home is. A business in a group home runs separately, and the real estate is separate in a group home type of scenario. It is not many or several different units at the same time. It is a single family home that is zoned residential and converted into a group home, complying with all the CCNRs and homeowner association rules and regulations, whether it's allowed or not, that type of thing. It's not any or many number of units. It's not number of units above 5 that will put them in a commercial zoning anyways. So that's what a group homes is in one definition.
Do you come when you say that you're compliant? Are there fair housing regulations that you have to deal with in terms of a group home, or as you said, the HOAs where you find these residences? Do they put up any kind of barriers because you want to create a group home?
They may. So a group home can be in a non-HOA type of community, or group home can be in a guard-gated or a gated HOA, heavily HOA regulated community. But you have to have all the approvals in place, and you have to run it in a way that it doesn't affect the lives of your neighbors or anybody else that is there. Normally, these elderly people that live there are not out and about by themselves doing their own things and creating any type of issues for people that live around that area.
So they're not party goers? Is that what you're saying?
Well, that is debatable.
But you said you have special licensing in place to operate the group home once it's becomes compliant with all the agencies and governmental accreditation. Do you have special property management, or how do you go about the day-to-day operation?
Yes, you have to have administrator, and you have to have a staff that takes care of these elderly people that are somebody's parents. You know, they've worked all their life. This is the dusk of their lifetime, and they deserve to be treated the right way and have a calm and peaceful. So obviously there is licensing, obviously there's administration, a lot of different compliance issues that actually look into how a group home is run. But once you have your moral values in place, your ethical values in place, all those legalities automatically fall into place.
Oh, okay.
Now, again, to be clear, though, the group home really has a kind of like a wall between it. There's a real estate component to it, and there's an actual business component to it. So,
yes.
So now, if somebody he wants to invest in like a group home, does he say to you, AJ, I want to buy a group home, or AJ, I want to buy an operator per se, or do they just kind of like say, I want the whole concept, or how does somebody come to you and start the whole process of saying, yeah, you know what, I like this group homes idea. How do I go forward with this?
Basically, we do have group homes for sale, and we advertise them and we market them for sale, and people communicate with us throughout the country to call us, send us the emails, and ask us questions, and we send them the information out. And the brochure actually defines what it is all about and what it takes and things of that nature, and that gives them the information. So basically, you have a real estate component to it, you have a business component to it, and there's some law of averages. This is per unit or per bed. The revenue that comes in, let's say $3,000 per bed, or $3,300 to $3,500 per bed, or whatever the case might be. Some group homes can also get the revenue in a very high-end type of places, $10,000 per bed. Sometimes it is individual rooms. Sometimes it is shared rooms. So all of that is how it is created, how the licensing and the revenue system is constructed, and what are the amenities and the services that are provided in a group home, apart from the very basic that you have to be providing because of the compliance issues.
Yeah. So if I see a home for sale, let's say somewhere, let's just use a kind of a high-end part of Las Vegas in Summerlin, for example, or Lake Las Vegas where the homes are really large, and I decided, that might be a good home to buy and convert to a group home. Then my first step then would be obviously to find out if I was allowed to do that based on the HOAs and the laws, right, from each community.
Absolutely. It's a good place to start. And so this is what we're planning to do. It's going to be something that's going to be high-end, and we're going to be doing this, and get their approval. Then go to an experienced administrator that we do have contacts with that we can bring to the table for you to help out, is then ask them for their expert advice, and they can go and look for the licensing process for that particular property. Is what are the chances to get it licensed. So once those things are in place, then you can go ahead and purchase the real estate as a single-family property, retrofit the property, rehab the property, bring it up to speed with the compliance. Obviously, there will be so many different types of inspections before the license is given for that property to operate as a group home. And once you get a license, it's retrofitted, rehab property, then you can start filling it up with the group home residents.
How do people find these group home residences? Is that part of the management company's job, or does the purchaser go out and somehow make a deal with somebody? How does that work?
So one of the good news that we have about our Las Vegas as a place with 11 months of beautiful sunlight and sunshine here. We are the third fastest growing retirement community in United States anyways, after Florida and Hawaii. The advantage that we have perpendicular streets. We have a lot of light entertainment for the elderly, and we have dry heat, which is good for gout, asthma, and arthritis. So Las Vegas is the third largest and fastest growing elderly retirement community. So you don't have too much of a problem finding these people. Also, Las Vegas, over a period of last 4 decades, have become a very big medical community with about 1,000 South Asian doctors and about 2,000 overall doctors that live here in Las Vegas, larger Las Vegas metropolitan type of an area, where you can get the recommendations directly, referrals directly from these doctors and from these hospitals and all that for these group homes to be populated and to be full most of the time. We probably need more group homes here than we already have as the population is growing.
I agree with that 100%. I think that is one of the biggest markets out here right now. And it's virtually untouched because nobody really understands what they are. And, you talk about the group home concept to a lot of these guys, and they immediately go right to, the top-level definition of multifamily. So we've discussed how that's already different. Another part of this group home thing that I'd like to talk to you about is the medical aspect of this. These are elderly people. Do the group home concept, part of the operators, I guess that they bring in doctors to take blood pressure, administer medicine, and things like that? That's part of the administrative part of it, the operating part?
Right. That's the part of the administrator. Everybody is on their own schedule of what their appointments are, what their checkups are, when the doctor is going to come in, when the caretaker is going to come in, and things of that nature. And that depends on the individual to individual. That depends on individual property to individual property and their circumstances. To give a blanket statement about it, it's not going to be fair to the entire process.
So
when can I move in? When can I move in? Go on, Vicki. I'm sorry to cut you off. Yeah. I'm sorry to cut you off. Continue with your question.
Well, what I was going to say is when you talk about the potential of income at $10,000 per bed, you have a high expense quotient too, because you're talking about an administrator, you're talking about licensed professionals who are offering care or assistance to who the residents are. So even though $10,000 a bed might sound outrageous, it's offset by a high expense on the other side, isn't it?
Well, in a way, and that question can be answered in like 3 different parts. Part one is it's a beautiful residence, high-end luxury in a beautiful community for the people that have an ability and can afford and want to have that type of a lifestyle in their dusky years of their life. So that's one part of it. Second part of it is if you have a local administrator, your expenses are going to be lower. And if you have a national level operator, then your expenses are higher. And we have both that we can recommend and provide to you, that you can pick and choose, work around your budget. And as long as you're compliant and everybody's happy in a group home, then you can work those details out.
Are there, when you say group home, are there group homes that are not for the elderly or for folks with health issues? Can there be group homes like for students going to UNLV, or group homes for, say, veterans or disabled persons and still be in the same group home category?
Well, just like what you mentioned, those are variations of, but totally unrelated to the group homes. So for students, it's called student housing. For veterans, it's more like veterans village. For that have other issues, mental or PTSD or something to that effect, there are other rehabilitation type of programs and projects, and they're all separate and totally unrelated to each other.
Okay, so when you say group home, you're strictly talking about homes for residences for elderly patients or for health-challenged elderly residents.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think if you're an investor and you're looking into this concept and you saw a pro forma of the financials of what the possibilities are on the potential profits of such an investment, I think it's got to open your eyes, don't you? I mean, that is really, it's brilliant. And it's a market that's very underserved right now. So, AJ, the Quantified Group is in a great spot right now to market these properties for people who are both operators and for people who are looking to purchase these homes and set them up.
Absolutely. And again, thank you for saying nice things about and kind words about Quantified Investment Group. And, that's why people talk to us. That's why we are here to answer all the questions and working with the law of averages. If you're getting about $3,500 per bed and you have 10 beds in a group home, you're going to be making $35,000 per month type of revenue, let's say if you're 100% occupied, because of the growing population. And that takes us to about, let's say, $360,000+ a year. Your expenses are somewhere around 50% on the property. So you can still have some kind of a net operating income of about $150,000 to $260,000 plus that is coming to you. And that's a good chunk of change coming towards you at the end of the year from these group homes.
Well, and that's if you just have one group home, too. So you have multiple group homes. You're talking about a significant amount of income, which would make them very lucrative to an investor and very in demand because of Vegas being the location.
Yes, absolutely. And who doesn't want to retire in Las Vegas?
Yeah, well, exactly. Even if you can't go to a casino. Even if you can't go to a casino or go out. It reminds me of a story, Vicki. A couple of months ago, I was over at the Quantified offices, and I was about ready to leave. It was like 6 o'clock on a Friday, and I walked by, and I saw AJ in his office there, and I said, you still here? And AJ goes, I'm always here.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, AJ.
Yeah, he works a lot. He works a lot, right? That's for sure. So, but AJ, thanks a lot for being on this podcast today. I'm sure you opened up a lot of people's eyes as far as what this type of investment is all about. And I think this is a winner. I think people should be involved in this, and I think people should contact the Quantified Group and get this from a blank sheet of paper all the way down to a closing with a company in there. So, how do people contact you? What's the best way? The best way to contact us is to go to our website, www.thequantifiedgroup.com, and then you can contact us from there, get all the pertinent information from there. You can also call us directly at our office number is 702-876-7777. You can also send us an email at info@thequantifiedgroup.com as well. And we are here to answer all your questions and to give you the support and make you very, very successful in these difficult and ever-changing times that we are going through right now. No question. Yep. And then I also understand that the website is doing a complete makeover too. So there's going to be a lot more functionality on that too. And I think the people who visit the site are really going to be amazed at the wealth of information that's going to be there and how easy it is to research and get more information on this and so many other topics. So you're doing a great job. I mean, like I said before, one of the best companies in town as far as I'm concerned, and not because I'm there myself, but I'm really impressed on how you just do it all, and nothing ever falls through the cracks. I think it's just crazy good.
So once again, I got to thank you for being on the podcast, AJ. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you. Everybody stay safe out there. God bless.
Yeah, and Vicki, thanks a lot for co-hosting this. Everybody out there, you're listening to the Mappable USA podcast over at mappableusa.com. If you go to that website, just click on the homepage. There's a whole bunch of links to our syndication sources. Choose the one you like best, and you'll never miss another episode. And if you want to be a guest on the show, like AJ was today, there's a guest tab. You just click on that, fill it out. We'll see what we can do about getting on the show. So once again, everyone, thank you so much for listening. Thanks for all your support, and we'll be back to you next week with another Mappable USA podcast. Have a great week, everyone.